Bill C3. This is just to give you a timeline on how long these bills take to go through. All right, so our first reading, January 28, 2009. Second reading, about a month after. And then our report stage, a couple months after that, right? So around May 4th, started in January 28th, and May 4th, it was finally sent to the Senate. The Senate, right away, does their first reading, May 5th, okay? Then it finishes up by June. So what you see is the House of Commons has more to discuss and has to do more than the Senate. The Senate, unless they see issues, can pass a bill within a month. This took 4 months. So now we're going to talk about a couple quickly, and when we talk about laws and legislation today, the key is to not allow loopholes, right? And to make it as concise as we can, because the more words you add, the less clear stuff can become sometimes. All right, so no vehicles. The town of Jupiter has a central park that is a major rec center for the town residents. In order to maintain the peacefulness and to minimize noise pollution in the park, the town enacted a law prohibiting vehicles in the park and posted a no vehicles in the park sign at every park entrance. So, first thing, right? You need to define what a vehicle is. So decide if the no vehicle in the park has been violated in each of the following scenarios. Each pair should be prepared to give reasons. So what I want you to do in a group or a pair, you're going to look at these situations and you're going to tell me if you think that this is breaking the law or not. Okay, so the first one, teenager with a skateboard, father with a stroller, group of kids rollerblading, and a senior in a motorized wheelchair. So for 3 minutes, or 5 minutes, let's say, talk to a partner, talk to a group, and let me know what you think.
Yeah, I know, I was there. Wait, Taylor.
You think someone on a skateboard should be left?
Ethan, put on your story, don't say anything first.
So that's all it says. So the law is no vehicles in the park, right? You're just gonna decide if these count.
Yeah, like one. Yeah, you can't someone go in a park and motorized wheelchair. That's just or I would never go again. Government is not.
You're gonna start.
Like a pipe. So you just put it in your nostril?
Okay, we'll go 2 more minutes to talk about this.
Oh my God. What time is it?
What if we say autumn?
Yeah, I know this one.
It says, transportation, no good transporting people or goods, especially. Like,
I think it was the big one.
Didn't you have bronchiosaurus?
Or? Yeah, I agree. All of them. Yeah, those are all here.
You do know if you just put music like right there. Yeah, yeah. Straight there, yeah. Vibrates in your
Alrighty, so that should be enough time. Let's go through these and see what you guys think. Should a teenager be allowed in the park on their skateboard?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, why?
Like anyone else walking in the park.
The
Skateboard is not a vehicle. A vehicle is defined as a thing used for transporting people or goods on land.
Yeah. Oh, we got refused going through the drive-thru at McDonald's.
Hey guys, hold on. Mariah's talking.
And unless the skateboard's doing, person on the skateboard's like riding on rails or making any excessive noise, it should be fine. Like the click of wheels on sidewalks, it should not be.
Okay, so this is where we get into, I agree, right? And this is where this is a bad thing to write, because technically, no vehicles in the park, skateboard is a vehicle, that would be breaking the law that they put in, right? Again, all a vehicle is, by definition, a thing used for transporting people or goods, especially on land. That's it. So the reason we want to go through this isn't to be right or wrong with this stuff, it's to understand why, if you did this in your civic mayor legislation period, that would not be a good law. Okay? Yep,
So does that mean all of them are kind of illegal?
that's what we'll get into, right? So now we get into this idea, what about a father going into the park with a stroller? Still a vehicle, right? Transporting a kid. So now we talk about, in school, what can we do to help different people succeed, right? Anyways, I'll give you the word. Accommodations are something that towns can put in to allow for this, right? So you could do a no vehicles in the park sign with an accommodation for strollers, right? So strollers accepted. I'm sure you guys have seen signs where there's been stuff like that, okay? And here's where this kind of goes into the skateboarding as well. Group of kids going into the park on rollerblades. Is that good?
Big time rollerbladers.
Pardon? Just something used to transport people, especially on land.
Well, like anything can be a vehicle. Anything that moves, pretty much that you're on, it transports you.
Yeah, except for something that's already part of you, for sure.
Yeah.
Right? So again, I'm not saying that this is a good law. The point is that this law is too vague, right? My thing would be when we talk about skateboard and rollerblading, what else do you think would go into people's heads if you're a city planner and you don't want that stuff going on in your park? Why? What could another reason be? Yeah. Well, I mean, especially people that are older, they believe that skateboarders are some type of, skateboarders are like people you don't want to be around or something, right? But why do you think they really believe that, right? Again, going back to, people just don't want to hurt others for no reason. What could go into their heads for why they would want that? Yeah, safety, right? So the base of it is a skateboarder can move at what? I don't know, 20 kilometers an hour maybe, right? Rollerblader, yeah, something like that. So if I have a kid playing in a park on a playground and they run out onto a path and there's a group of kids rollerblading, that's inherently more dangerous, right? So the reasoning would be safety, would be why they would have that stuff put in. Now, what a lot of good parks do, does anybody know what they do to help skateboarders and rollerbladers, Taylor?
Put in like some sort of bike lane or something.
Yeah.
For people like that.
100%, right? Put in a path for motorized vehicles. Or, Connor, what did you say? They put in a park, right? And they say, yeah, you're allowed to skateboard here, but you're allowed to skateboard here, right? So then, if a kid's walking in the skate park, like, yeah, you might get hit. But if a kid's at a playground and takes a step off onto a pathway, that's what they wouldn't want, okay? And then lastly, we get into a senior going into the park on a motorized wheelchair, right? So what do you think could be at play with that? Why does somebody need a motorized wheelchair?
In some way, like, can't like walk
Yeah.
long distances or something.
Yeah, so it could be a number of reasons, right? It could be physically they can't walk. It could be health-wise, they're not supposed to do that much movement. But we also get into what generally happens is people talk about, okay, no motorized vehicles. But this would technically be a motorized vehicle. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get into exceptions. And we're going to talk about them. So you can have a law and you can have exceptions for it, right? So my street, it has, you're allowed to street park every month of the year, except for December 1st to April 1st or something like that for snow removal, right? So they put in a rule that, yes, I'm allowed to street park, but there's an exception for the winter months that technically I shouldn't be, okay? So for this one, talk to your pair again. So a park manager driving a truck full of trees to be planted, TV mobile unit videotaping a spring concert, driving a car because they were late for work, an ambulance taking a shortcut. So talk about that for 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're going to bring those up as well.
Okay, so the ambulance is not allowed,
The only one I'd say has bad is nobody should drive through park. You're late for work, you should Okay, so if you're going late for work and oh my goodness, there's that park right there. And the first thought is pop that curb and get in there and go. I dumped the plug on I didn't my nose. Tighten the lid. Yeah, you don't have, like, I'm not even trying.
Driving home.
You weren't even there, like, you were in the other side. I was really just like.
No, call that. He's like, I will not come and get me.
He wouldn't, I already texted him. I got in there and he was like, why did I need to come get you?
Truck with what?
It wasn't.
And what's on the track?
Clearly.
City of,
Oh.
right? Okay, guys, so let's bring these up. So what do you guys think, park
Exactly, but
manager?
until it happens.
Connor Jensen, you got something for park manager driving in, truck full of trees to be planted? What do you
Yes, I
think?
do actually.
Yeah.
Because if he has permission to go plant those trees, I don't see why there's any like anything against it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And now, the thing there, right, is if there's permission, this doesn't say anything about permission. Now, being a park manager, you would assume there'd be some authority they would have, for sure. But what else do you think would go into this? And now, the thing there, right, is, 100%, they'd be driving carefully and slowly. Why else do you think that this one would be okay? Motives for the environment, sure, let's go.
It's like probably hired by the city.
Yeah. So usually, Alex,
It's like, where the park, actually, well, they're driving in the park, they're also driving through the park.
100%. So the one thing that I would say is, have you ever seen a city worker in a park?
Yeah.
Okay, what kind of truck do they drive?
It's like a truck that goes long.
Yeah, like usually the truck that they have says city of blank, right? Along with that, what else do people wear who work in the city? Yeah, yeah, you see the vest and they look like city workers, right? That is much different than Caitlin driving her truck with some trees that she just wants to plant with her friends, right? So they put in these things, right? Because they already have some other rules that allow them to be noticed, right? If I saw a random person in a pickup truck that was not City of Waterloo in Waterloo Park, taking trees out of their back, I would probably be like, what is going on here, right? Once you see the city stuff, they've already put ahead that now people feel comfortable that they should be in there. Okay, let's go to the second one. TV mobile unit drove into the park to videotape spring concert being performed in the park. What do you guys think? Huh? Do you think it should be
I
allowed?
think it should be allowed, but I don't know if that's. It makes sense why it wouldn't be.
Yeah, yeah. Why do you think it would be?
Because it's a vehicle with no connection.
And what do you think the repercussions are of allowing this person to do it? We all have smartphones with cameras, right? Yeah, I was driving in to videotape this. Right? So again, you have to think of all these different avenues that this law could be applied and all these different reasons that it would be like that. Alex?
Yeah, the other thing is that they're like one of the most high risk times because no one's gonna be paying attention to them. They're gonna be paying attention to the concert. Which you realize
100%, right? Concerts have sound systems. I'm not gonna hear a truck behind me the same way I would if there's no music. Okay? What do you think they do to allow this? Anybody other than Alex want to try and get? Or at least mark off an area where they can park their truck or mobile unit. Usually you'll see that at concerts. What else could they do? 100%. Get set up the night before. Last thing, what do you think people need to make sure that if somebody asks them, they're supposed to be in the right place, that they are? Pardon? A permit, right? So I would call that a permit. So people apply for permits to do this stuff, and then they have that permit hanging in their windshield, and they have a badge or something that says, I am allowed to be. Again, what they would want to get rid of is Jake bringing his camera crew that is non-sponsored or sanctioned by anyone to the park. So we have accommodations or exceptions, but then we also have permits that people can get, right? So for instance, that staff parking lot. I have an Elmira District Secondary School permit in my windshield because they don't want students parking, right? Now, if a teacher forgets it, then the car would be called to move. Okay, so again, it's allowing certain people to use that space. Next one, Andy/Andrea drove his order car to the park because they were late for work. Used it as a shortcut. What do you think, Megan?
I mean, like, there's a lot of reasons why that shouldn't be, but, it makes, like, the safety even worse, because if they're late for work, they're probably getting wrecking, and, like, a lot less cautious with everything else that's going on, and, like, driving through it even faster, even though they should be there in the first place, so.
Yeah.
They could have avoided that situation.
Yeah, it's their fault.
100%, right? And I would say, looking at, we'll kind of take the fourth one, because I think, do we all agree that that's probably not a good thing to do? Going into the fourth thing, with the ambulance, what does an ambulance have that cars don't? Sirens, right? I know it. I could be walking in a quiet park and I know when an ambulance is coming.
Yeah.
I have no idea when this car's coming, right? So that goes into it as well. That's why emergency services have those. Okay? Alex?
Ambulances already have exceptions as well, like, if they have their signs on, they're going through emergency, they can run right in. So,
Yes, and there are different stages. So my friend's a guy lives with is a paramedic, and they have different stages, right? So stage 1 is like no sirens, no lights. 2 is lights but no sirens, and then 3 is like emergency, like code blue, I think they call it, and that's sirens, lights, everything they got. Stoplights are turning for them because it is an emergency that they need to get somewhere. Okay. Yep. So I will give you an example. There was, when I was living in Toronto, a cop chasing someone in a drug bust situation. This person ran or was on some type of vehicle and went through a basketball court, up the other side, and then kept going, and the cop followed them through to follow them and obviously catch them for their crime. The issue isn't that the cop did that. What do you guys think the problem with emergency services going through parks might be? Pedestrian, for sure. Yep. It damages the park, right? So I'll pull up the video before the end of the class about this specific instance. I think it was like $400,000 to rebuild this basketball court in a park, all because they were trying to catch one drug dealer, right? So taxpayers now, I have to pay more because this emergency service used our public space to go across, right? So that's why they would have some of these rules in. But just trying to get you guys thinking of all these things that come into play with law. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, that might be it. We'll talk about good laws. So good laws can be enforced, right? Usually there's a penalty. So theft under $5,000, it can be served by 30 days in jail or a fine of blank. Okay, that would be an enforcement type thing. Can be followed, right? So it's in societal values. So the law can't be in Fruitopia that Eric can't talk. All MPs in favor, aye, right? That is not a good law, okay? A, it's hard to be followed, and B, it's not fair, okay? indicates who is expected to obey it, right? So if I'm putting a law, like something on price caps, it would be business hexes must da 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 da. It won't just say people must, right? So it's specific. States the penalty for disobeying, we touched on that, is in keeping with other laws, so it doesn't contradict. So I talked to you guys about when they redid the cannabis law, they had to go back and change the criminal offenses law, saying that cannabis is no longer an illicit substance, to then allow the cannabis law to mean something, okay? Has no vague or ambiguous words. Vehicle, right? We found was a much more vague and ambiguous word than you might think originally. And lastly, defines words that might be misunderstood. So if I do use a word, right? So it said make changes on the one slide, and then in brackets it said amendments. So if in the law I put amendments, I would probably put make changes, just to make it, again, so everyone can easily understand. Not gonna do that. So using the criteria, you now have the opportunity to write laws for our first legislation. You need to have a bill sponsored by a member of parliament. Sponsored bills are given to Connor. Connor writes them on that sheet. So let's have Connor's group and party over on the right, Mariah's party over on the left. So again, we have, it is 12:27. I'll give you until about 12:43. Is that good with you, Brianna?
Yeah.
Okay, it's good with Brianna, guys. Let's do it.
Wait, what is it?
They would have any ideas right now that they want to propose?
Like, no. Like everyone looks like,
I guess like, people are treating you.
no, not like that, it's like people
Trinity, which group are you with? Okay, do you have any laws that you want to help?
Not really. I have no opinion on it.
Unless it's and then the rest can do whatever they want. We got the first power here.
Now it's.
First power needed this free.
I see you try to slide in there, get some free power.
You don't even have a hex?
No, I wasn't there.
Oh, man, that's some good hexes.
His old, like his.
That's so much.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know if Deborah doing what you guys said. What laws you want?
Wanna buy green hex?
It would be like.
Pardon?
The ones you have.
Wanna buy green hex?
Maybe we should say like no vehicles in like green spaces.
I'll let you know. I'll get back to you on that.
So yeah, really.
Say motorized vehicles.
Yeah,
Or
or no, like, no, say
Automobile.
those count.
Automobile.
No,
Yeah.
I want to get the clears going.
Or just name specific, I'm trying to word it like.
Maybe it's about food.
Nope.
There you go, walk food.
No, I said yo. Oh, they said no.
So like skateboard, scooters, bikes, those are fine.
I'll search up some of those.
Oh, wait, what about like?
Does anybody have like are we gonna have green space like
Yeah.
Oh,
So there's no development of your hex to do hex without government permission, or you can pay $500 fine, your hex to the county. No automobile.
Oh, it's dying.
Oh, I was fine, like.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mr. Buckley,
Yo,
what are necessities that you need to live?
food shelving.
That's it?
That's it.
You don't need help.
Healthcare.
Really? Healthcare is more well-being, right? Healthcare and education are the same. You don't need them to live, just like in our society, you don't need to come
There
from
should be a
shelter.
paid,
You need to shelter.
maternal, or what?
There'd be like,
Yeah, maternal.
what?
It's not to be like American.
We're not really gonna have it.
Oh, yeah.
Good luck.
Oh, we found a lot of new, I agree, bicycles or cars.
Such an oldie, that is this is probably like the definition of like
Yeah,
but like, the farmer gets just more person than the other person.
Like a shop.
Like, I can't make a law stopping selling the own product. Like, I feel like so. Should we do like a 1 hour trade back time? Like, somebody makes a trade or something, we can trade back to them.
Yeah. Alright.
Somebody just so great. And somebody still hacks it, it's too fast. And then this lawyer hacks it.
We could do.
yeah, but like what if I say this one thing? Throws his AirPods out the window.
Maybe like a compost thingy, where you have to like compost all your food.
There are no brains allowed. Kathy wants?
I hate writing myself. Right? It's hard.
Food, shelter.
Wait, what do you do? Oh. Yeah.
So yeah, they can also be denied food, shelter, or
No one can do
Can you
that.
put up the,
you just.
Yes, sorry.
Color.
Thanks for going out there.
Not a big deal.
Yep.
Actually, it's a little long, but like it's fine.
What? Yeah.
Your dad's gonna.
Okay, wait.
How'd you get it?
Nobody can be denied.
Okay, we got about 5 or 7 more minutes. 5 or 7 minutes, right?
Another idea that I had is like,
Make sure no one can come with like white markers on the other end.
what do you mean? It's not like a mission, it's not actually a lot.
I think I don't have that page.
Can I wanna go clear. I'll help you. Write that
No
down.
problem.
What
I'm the big.
What's that?
Which one? Or else one? Oh, 2048. 2048.
Or just the
And
last layer.
Like, you never know.
No, and but you think the answer to power up their house.
Don't use mine.
Not forcibly.
Okay, well, so right now, we have our national debt, tax taxes 0%, income taxes 0%. No development of river taxes, commission, or $500 salary taxes taken away, no automobiles and green taxes. One actually, that's doing it,
Wait, where's that again?
The government cannot forcibly take.
Don't play very loud music after 10 o'clock in the morning.
I was doing that first time.
So my mom went to the cottage, like she had a freaking.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, no.
But
I was just thinking, She hasn't answered my question.
Okay, go pink.
Yeah, what happens
Thanks.
Actually true, because like, what if you're playing like?
Oh, it's just no music.
Rock drop.
That's the chef law. It's illegal.
It's just like,
For the,
Oh, it's illegal to sit during the, national. Right, it's just all that, but like, I'm convinced we'll go back to like the bit that.
Yeah.
Like 2010 was in like 20
Like 1920s, you say?
Please stop talking about 2010.
What was that song? Duck sauce?
I
That was
could
the
do
Gangnam
that.
Style time, you know?
Dude,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
no, I'm not talking about that. I know, I was in that, the airplane.
Never say never.
Talk about the Braves game.
Oh,
my
God.
Oh my God, it's so intense. 2.1.
I was used
No, we're like, we're old music. She used to like.
Oh, yeah.
I know like all of them.
Oh, like,
3 more minutes.
We call mail,
They can make a law that you're only allowed to listen to Trump.
You can only drink Utopia.
Yeah.
no Tropicana. Okay. Tropicana.
No, I wanna.
Why?
It's after the year, that there's an application that you do online. Because the year has to pass for everything. They just give you more points, like, more points.
I literally said that.
It's one of the things that get marked.
Yesterday, like, I feel like, oh, just like a whole like everyone's lined up. No,
Yeah.
so, talking about, they have this thing, oh, like, yeah, like, days, yeah. But I
Oh, no.
Oh, wait.
I
Yeah,
used to
like,
think like
like,
hockey,
like,
like
somebody's
hockey,
gonna die.
I was like, yeah, that's good, basketball, right?
I told you.
Oh my
No, everybody's thinking that's like it's one of my favorite, right?
It's 100% because
Like in the
it's so that and like you can consider your
Yeah,
guys
that's like, you're like,
Right.
like,
Oh my God.
oh. It was so
Oh my God, that is an awesome shot.
You don't know in Canada now, the government gives families, like, kids, and families money for their children.
It's
I literally watched
Yeah,
last
because
year.
it doesn't, this is not.
You're just about to die. Like, they don't have to.
They give
You go
credit,
to Maddie or
they
do you
give
go
credits
by
for,
yourself?
Well, cause crunching my things on
Don't actually write that down.
like I wasn't going to college,
Yeah.
That's nice look at that.
when Maddie wants to go.
Like, little Billy died.
Alright, everybody's supposed to be, have a math person. That's the first thing. Okay.
That's fine.
Wait, you like, you get it after a year.
For 20 years. That's so, yeah. I think so your first year. A new election is held.
I don't have a lot or
I will
anything.
buy out your apartment, you will.
Oh, I like.
I will buy an apartment.
What?
For $2,000.
No, I'm stuck in my rate.
You will actually help.
all right, guys, you can head back to your own seats.
Can we talk Connor now?
Yeah, you could have got a Connor, you could have got a Connor all that time, if you know you wanted.
Look, this is me, I took a miss in. I look to miss in 3 fingers. 3 fingers. My pinky and my thumb. Like this.
Wait, did you hear the government?
Not the people saying like.
That one, who the hell? Okay.
I'm not even on the
We also have motion chairs around there. Ah, thank you. Easy solution. All right, guys, so what we need to do is we need to pick a speaker. Who would like to be our speaker today? Matt. You'll see in a second. Matt, you can go sit in that desk there that sees the screen. Mr. Speaker. Connor, I'll give you another minute to get those up.
Who's from?
How's your day stop yesterday?
Pretty good.
Mr. Vandenberg was at the Raptors game last night.
Pretty cool. Oh my god.
So much fun. We're talk now. It was so much streaming all the way through.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If they went to overtime, I was not expecting them to do well.
There were a couple of Philly players, like Simmons, 5 fouls.
Yeah.
So that was.
And then deep was dead time.
Yes.
With like 2 minutes, he walked up the court, that one possession, I'm like, okay, he's a little bit out, right?
But still, yeah, I wasn't too confident. I'm glad they finished it that way.
Okay, guys, so we are going to start this thing up. This is the speaker's job. I'm going to lead this up, Matt, and you're going to take us through this stuff. Matt is the speaker now. You might be wondering what a speaker does. Again, they control the room. So I'm going to show you a great video of the British speaker. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but this is how he tries to get order of a room. Oh. Sorry, let's start that again. He's got a good one off the top.
People shouting will be an opportunity for other voices of order, but the Prime Minister must and will be heard. Order! Order! The Honourable Gentleman has got to learn the art of patience. And if he is patient, if he deploys Zen, he will find that it is ultimately to everybody's advantage. So we'll leave it there, and we come now. Now, I think that if it very, very well. Order! Order! Zen!
So you might think the House of Commons, guys, is like this very like prim and proper thing. It is not. These people are shouting a lot at each other during somebody's talking. People from the other seats will be saying stuff, and that's why that guy, his main job is to keep everybody in order. So what we are going to do is I will kind of do a little half and half with this so we can see both. Open it in a new window. No, so let's just do it a little bit. Matt, I hope your eyes are okay.
I can see them, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll just flip back and forth. So Matt, you can read the first bill. It's going to be the.
The National Court Judge appointed.
All right. So Connor, why? Sorry, that's your bill.
Explain.
Yeah, if you could, that's true. Somebody else wants it.
Okay. You can read it. Matt.
I was only judged because nobody else wanted it.
We asked to do.
Well, no, it's just
Said, like, remember-
Trinity's the national judge
Nobody
nominee.
wanted it.
Oh. And this is because, yeah.
Nobody
Because
else wanted.
Any reason why not?
Perfect.
Or can you step out from it and look at it objectively?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, like, do you allow your emotions to tie into decisions that you make?
Oh, no. No.
No? Okay. Then
I'm a completely unbiased judge.
Unbiased judge, is you're a member of their party.
No, I'll be just and unbiased in any situation.
Okay, let's go just, let's skip one, because this one's pretty straightforward. Anybody else in class? No? All right, let's just go to this there, Matt.
Yeah, vote. Who votes for Trinity International?
So all in favor would be the terminology.
Just MPs, right?
Just MPs can vote. Yep. So this is passed, so what I will do is for each
Wait, we
thing.
have the MPs go in the middle, so we know. like-
Yeah, for sure.
we can sit up here.
Yeah, MPs, why don't you sit up in front of everyone and explain yourself?
Bring it up. BYOD, bring it up.
BYOD, bring your own day.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take you to court, Brian.
Why is my computer frozen?
I was not expecting that.
Alrighty, Matt, we got, I'll zoom on this for you. We got number 2 now.
Yo, baby.
One second, Connie Benson.
Why?
All right, Matt.
They were.
So what is X tax is 0? X tax is 0%. Well, this is why we don't really have a need for an X tax.
Order.
What do you think? What do you think of the tax tax?
Hold on, this is just